Kaitlin Roig-DeBellis, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having
I want to
me.
let everyone know you're just incredible woman. She packed her 15 students at Sandy Hook Elementary into a bathroom, keeping them calm, helping them save their lives, undoubtedly just keeping them in love as they were in that horrible moment. So we're so honored to have you here today. You have an incredible new charity venture, but I'm wondering that moment when you brought those 15 children in and you thought that you could all die and decided, I just want them to feel loved. What made you take that action?
Sure. Well, first, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
You know, I claim no credit in that. I certainly had angels on my side, whether they were mine or my students. Certainly, you know, the peace of mind to think of that in that moment, I still could never explain to you how that happened. But once we were finally in the bathroom and the door was locked and we were squished like sardines, I mean, the space was 3 feet by 4 feet, extremely small. What they were hearing was horrific. And, you know, I had no thought in my mind that we were making it out of that bathroom. So I needed to make sure as their first grade teacher that I told them the things that they, you know, would want to hear if those were their last moments. So I told them I love them. I told them that I was so lucky that they were in my class. I told them, you know, how happy I was that I was their teacher, because I wanted something positive to be the last thing they heard, not the horror that they were hearing on the other side of the wall.
It's just amazing, because we talk about being defined in crisis, and for you to have that foresight, or for you, I mean, it's just incredible, which is why you've just been named. I mean, your life, all the good work that you're doing now is getting so highlighted because of your heroism. What was it like to be named Glamour Woman of the Year? I mean, with Lady Gaga.
Yeah, extremely surreal. I mean, definitely a moment of, you know, on a cloud, watching myself out-of-body experience. So honored, though. You know, for myself, life is all about perspective, and a horrible thing happened, you know, to myself and to my students, and I made a very conscious decision, you know, in the days following that, number one, that was not going to define my students' lives or mine.
Yep.
And number two, I needed to provide my students and I something to give us control back. And I'm really grateful to Glamour for, you know, recognizing me as an educator.
We just saw that beautiful picture with
oh my gosh,
Ariane
gorgeous.
Huffington getting that, and these pictures there. Also, L'Oreal is now, only 10 women get this honor. You're being named L'Oreal's Women of Worth Award, and that's really because of Classes for Classes. Tell me about this charity that you created out of the tragedy.
Absolutely. Well, first, I thank L'Oreal from the bottom of my heart. They choose 10 women every year who are doing, you know, what they call notable work in their communities to make positive change, and so I'm so grateful to them for that honor. Classes for Classes was born after the tragedy. I'm sure you saw things were being sent to our school, and, you know, boxfuls, truckloads. And after giving to my kids, I really stepped back and realized, you know, a huge part of the way I was raised is when you get, you have to give. And when someone makes you feel happy, it is your responsibility to make someone else feel happy. And so I decided one morning that, well, it was great to keep giving to my kids. I needed to take the moment to teach them that when you get, you have to give. And so I brought a large box and started pulling things out. I said, these are all for us. How wonderful is that? And they said, oh, this is great. And I said, why did someone do this? And of course, they said exactly what you would expect. They wanted to be nice to us. They wanted to be kind. They wanted us to be happy. I said, you're all exactly right. I said, in life, when somebody makes you feel that way, it is your job to make someone else feel the same. And so we're going to find a class in the United States, and we're going to send them something with the resources we now have so that they can have a need and that they can feel happy. And they were just as excited about that. I mean, immediately they were like, are we sending them this? Can we send them this? And I said, no, these are for us.
Yeah.
But we are going to send them a gift, you know, to make them feel that joy. And the idea just snowballed from there. I started talking to other teachers, and, you know, that I knew across the country, from here to Arizona, sharing with them my idea and asking if they wanted to get involved. And luckily for me, they all did, and they all really wanted to be a part of this project. And so we launched back in April with the 28 classes that were involved, and we just launched 3 weeks ago.
Oh, I love it. Pay it forward. And look how happy they are. So what you're doing is that every day, how does it work? So you come in and they're learning the lessons of kindness and compassion, but how does it work?
Absolutely. They're walking the walk. So Classes for Classes, we launched 3 weeks ago to the nation. So now any teacher, K-8 public school in the United States can log on to classesforclasses.org and can click on Be a Caring Class, and it simply guides you through a 15-minute setup process to set up your project page. It's really simple. And then you are creating a project for someone else. So you come to the site with the awareness of who you would like to reach out to and help. So you contact that teacher prior and you say, how can I help? What do you need? And and they tell you what it is, and then you post that project for them on the site. And exactly as you said, it's something that can be pulled up every morning in morning meeting, or every afternoon in closing circle, or really any time in the day. It could be during lunch, recess, any time in the day where you have time to showcase all of the good work you're doing. So there's a book nook to record all of the books that you're reading. There's a kindness corner to keep track of all the ways you're being kind. A pay it forward corner, again, to keep track of all of those. There's a place for teacher to upload documents that the students have done, student work, whether it's drawings, poetry, things that they've written. And it's a place to showcase all of the great work that kids are doing in learning to care about something else. I mean, someone else, I'm sorry. For myself as an educator, social curriculum has always been at the core of everything I do. I'm a huge believer in a responsive classroom. I've always followed it to a T. And yet, I've always had difficulty finding ways to actively engage my students in learning that.
And especially within the confines of your core curriculum and all the things teachers have to do. I love how you made it technical, because every class now they're saying, oh, we've got a smart board, we've got a smart board. So now they can use the smart board to just put up these really beautiful things of kindness.
Absolutely. And I mean, any teacher knows that the second you put the smart board on, engagement goes up.
Yeah.
And when you put something on that they have done, it's their work, and they have the awareness that anyone in the world can see that. I mean, it gives them ownership over that, which I think is so important as educators, that we give kids ownership over their own learning, and certainly over, learning lessons and kindness and compassion and empathy. They're actively doing. They're not just talking about it. They're not just reading a book and saying, oh, the character was kind because he gave so-and-so, something. They're saying, I am being kind to someone else.
Yeah.
I am empathizing with this class who needs a smart board.
They get to feel it.
Yes,
Yeah.
and it's huge.
So you are up to maybe get even a bigger grant, right?
Gloria,
if people go on and support and vote for you, which we all want to support you, and this is such a great idea. How can people watching right now get involved?
Absolutely. So you go to womenofworth.com, and all of our bios are there. And so you would click on mine, and you would just type in your email. It's that simple, and you voted. And you can vote once a day now through November 20th.
And then you'll get another $25,000 for classes, which is awesome.
For our cause.
There it is, Women of Worth. Vote for the Woman of Worth. Certainly you are that. So everyone, just put it on your to-do list. It could be your act of kindness, right?
Absolutely.
So this is just incredible what you've done. And I guess the lesson is for others that are watching, are you feeling like just by focusing on the good, it's going to help you get through the tragedy?
For myself, good and bad are both always abundantly around. After the tragedy, I was so focused on the questions of why our school, why those beautiful lives, and when I realized I was never going to answer those, and I never will, I had to focus on what I could do. And life is all about perspective, as I said, and you always have a choice. And so you can choose to see the good, and you can choose to put one foot in front of the other and try your best. And that's the choice that I very consciously made.
Great lessons. I know everyone's so happy that you are a teacher in our world. Thank you, Kaitlin.
Thank you so much.
Scott?
All right, great. Thank you, guys. Local author.